everybody. So I am so excited and so grateful for this whole process. I am so grateful. First, let me introduce myself. So my name is Hollis Citron with I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, and we have a multi-author book called Struggling Well. Thanks for asking. Launching this Friday, April 29th at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I am introducing you to these some of these incredible contributors. 19 beautiful women who have so much to share on widowhood, but not just widowhood, on life. So I am talking right now. I have here, excuse me, everybody, Nana Goldberg, who has so much to share. And I'm just going to start with this point. She's going to tell you more about herself. But one of the things from her chapter that I want to point out is she said, grief is not linear. So with that, Nana, first of all, welcome to the space.
Thank you, Hollis.
I'm so happy that you're here. And Nana, why don't you start off by telling us, what do you mean by that grief is not linear?
A lot of people have an expectation of how long you're going to be grieving, and it's different for everyone. Some people think they're over it in a month. Some people after a year. A lot of us have agreed that the second year is tougher because maybe some of the coma or the fog has dissipated and you realize your spouse is not coming back.
Yeah.
And that reality hits. But through holidays, ups and downs, when other people pass away, it kind of ignites that feeling again. So it might be a 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But grieving will be part of your life because you're missing that person.
Yeah. So here with your chapter entitled Widow Wisdom, you have so much to share in this. There's just so many tidbits, and what I think is so beautiful about this space, about this book, is that there are so many different perspectives, because as individuals, we have different experiences and stories as people who we are. Yes, it is a mutual shared experience in what that is in losing a spouse, but circumstances are different. How they passed is different. Our stories and how other circumstances going on are different. Can you tell people about widow brain and what that means?
It may depend on how you've lost your spouse, through illness, through a sudden accident. Unfortunately, if your loved one is ill, they know they're dying, and it's a different experience for both of you as opposed to a sudden death. But I liken it to a person who's been in an accident being put into a coma. So their brain can recover and get healthy again. So it kind of protects you from certain things so that you're not totally overwhelmed all the time. But if so, I suggest mindfulness meditation. Everybody's different. My husband had a congenital illness. He was sick off and on for years. And I married him knowing him that he might not have a very long life, but he didn't live his life that way. He never lived his life like, woe is me, I might have a short life, I might be sick. He just lived. And I think because of that, when the last bout came, it was just a sudden shock. I was an ostrich. So I think that was the beginning of protecting myself. But I was 50 and he was 50. We had a 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
So my experience is a little different from the other friends that I've met. I had to concentrate on him, and I really had to postpone my grieving because I was really concerned about taking care of him.
I think you're bringing up so many points. And when I have read your chapter, and everybody else is going to be able to read it soon. But in saying that, you brought up so many interesting points. I thought you brought up interfaith family. You brought up going into this marriage knowing that he had an illness and a young child, and that you were a helper and wanting to be there and put everybody else first before yourself. So many things I just said, but which do you want to go which do you want to go to, the being a solo mom, instead of a single mom, because you prefer that statement, or interfaith marriage?
The interfaith marriage was not an issue for us. We had a Jewish family. Louis firmly, we incorporated that. We didn't have Christmas in the house. But the thing Louis was looking most forward to was Alexander's bar mitzvah. And he wasn't able to come. The rabbi actually came to the house. He was home on hospice for about a week. And he came to the house on Saturday, and Alexander wore his talit for the first time. It was my father's, and a yarmulke. And they didn't do his bar mitzvah part because he didn't know it yet. But they did prayers together.
Oh.
And my husband, it was one of his last good days, Hollis. He sat up in bed in his nice pajama shirt, and he said, I want to thank you all for coming for this momentous occasion for our son. Like he was hosting the party.
Oh.
And it was a blessing that he got to do that.
Oh my God. So hearing this, everybody who's here with us live, thank you for being here and catching the replay. There's so much beauty in what you just said, Nana, because in hearing that from you for the first time is in him knowing that this is what was happening. You were able to recreate a situation that you knew was so important to him and have that experience. And oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
There were a lot of things I did intuitively that in retrospect were really smart on my part.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't going to be grieving in a Jewish way. We weren't having a shiva.
Right.
And we were having an open casket. I did not want Alexander to be afraid of seeing his father dead. So I woke him up that morning. He knew, of course, since his father came home, he was dying. That was very hard, very hard. They loved each other so strongly. And it was hard for them to be together. But he sat with me. We sat, we touched him. We talked about him. So Alexander wasn't afraid.
It kind of leaves me a little speechless, because there's so much that as a mom. So here are your roles: wife, mom, in this particular situation. And you want to do everything to protect your son and make him feel safe.
Which
and as
makes
a wife,
me feel better.
Right. Because as a mom, you want to care for him. But at the same time, as a wife, you're going through all that you're going through. There is so much emotion. There is so much in those moments.
Well, a lot of things that happened before he died aren't going to help people going forward. But they're just things that happened. But going forward, I got Alexander into a program, the Center for Grieving Children. And it was so much like the group Susan started with us, that when he walked into the room, he was with people who understood him. None of them had to say anything. And it was a very, very diverse population, not like our group. There were kids all ages, all backgrounds, all manners of losing someone in different ways, parents, grandparents, siblings. They did a lot of art therapy, and I know that's something that's up your alley. Getting lost in art and being able to express yourself, it did help him. It really did. So that was good. But, through the years, birthdays, his birthday, the bar mitzvah, graduation,
Yeah.
winning the baseball tournament at right after Lou died. It was the first year Lou didn't get to one game. And Alexander was finally on the team with the coach that Louis always used to say, when are you going to draft my kid? When are you going to draft
Oh,
Alexander? And he did. So those people rallied around us. And at the award ceremony, they made Louis the 11th man.
oh.
Like basketball, you have a six man. Well, there's 10 on baseball, and they made him the 11th man.
Oh, Nana.
Because this was the last year of Little League. Everybody knew us. We all knew each other. We were a baseball family.
Right.
But it's
Right.
interesting because I talk about people either being comfortable with you saying something or not saying something.
Yes.
And people like deer in the headlight. Oh, I didn't want to be near here. What am I going to do? And for those of you who don't know what to do, may I give you a hug? Who does not want a hug? Human touch is
Mm,
powerful.
mm,
And people say things, and I write about some of that. Um, One of the things that hurt me, and I think it was Toby that was talking about anniversaries.
yeah.
Anniversaries that aren't real because you didn't get divorced. You're still married, but your spouse isn't there.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking you to dinner or buying you a gift. Um, and I said to somebody one day, "Oh, today would have been our 5th anniversary." And the man looked at me and said, "How do you know you'd still be married?"
Oh my God, are you serious?
And he was right. He was totally right, but he was wrong to say that to me.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. So it's these, yeah. It's foot and mouth, foot and mouth disease.
But
People,
my situation
yeah.
was very, very unusual because Louis came into our family business and worked side by side with my father. And my father died 2 years later. So I had to reconfigure the whole business.
Yeah.
So there I am again, Nana the businesswoman, Nana the mother, and sorry, Nana, there's no widow time. But you know what, Hollis? For my first few years, I had nobody to talk to. I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody
Yeah.
who was in my shoes until luckily I belonged to the synagogue, and Susan, we had that group.
Yeah.
And we continued. And we found that even though we were all different years, new, more senior, it's that unspoken feeling of we belong. And truthfully, I have never had as many friends in my life
Mm.
until I became a widow and have been in groups with different women.
Yeah.
And we're not friends because we're widows. We're friends because we're fabulous women.
There we go. There's the power in all that. Oh my gosh. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why this book, Struggling Well, Thanks for Asking, is so powerful. This is 19 stories that are real stories. Like I said earlier, could be a page, could be 4 pages that are sharing about real experiences and not about being, oh, woe's me, about being, this is what happened and this is moving forward. And these are the things to say. These are some things, maybe you should watch yourself before those words come out of your mouth. But I want to ask you actually, Nana, before we say our goodbyes, is who do you think this book is good for?
Well, as I say in my chapter, um, and since I'm going to be 15 years next month, and I am at the point, and a lot of our women are, especially Susan, that we give back now. So different topics that come up, they resonate with me now, 15 years later, not as a widow, but as a person.
Mhm.
As we all continue to grow and learn, and as we get older, we all get to a certain point and we know certain things don't matter at all anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff goes out the window. You care about things differently. And almost every topic that we can cover. And one of the most important for anyone is self compassion. And women, wives, mothers, daughters, caregivers, as we said before, we kind of put ourselves last.
Yeah.
So, Susan always says, kiss our left shoulder, kiss our right shoulder. Take care of us.
Take care of us. Take care of us so we can care for others and be there as our full self and our whole self. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we'll run ourselves into the ground and have no energy for anything.
We're no good to anyone else.
No good to anyone else. So I love that how you said that. You said we're in different places and not as a widow, but as a person. So people are in different stages. I personally, from the outside, think, because I have seen all of these stories, that it's a wonderful tool for people who are new, like within referring to widowhood, new to however many years out, but then also not necessarily a widow. I could see it personally for somebody who's separated, divorced, anybody really, because I think it's a really good opportunity for anybody to hear someone's perspective, because we all will find ourselves in a situation where, if not us at that point, we will know somebody who has suffered a loss, and it can help give some insight as to how someone else might be feeling, never assuming that that's how they feel, but might be feeling. And this book gives some hints on some things to say when you're not sure exactly what to say.
Another point is be kind and don't judge.
Hmm.
Our feelings are real. You might poo poo them. I have a relative who has no empathy for me at all. And if I say something, if I call and say, Stad's yard site today, oh, yes, it's bittersweet. And then he goes on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Not giving me the chance, knowing that
Hmm.
Nana's really sensitive. Nana really misses Dad. Nana had a different relationship with him than I did. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people retire, they go through a life change. People move, they go through a life change. And a lot of these things happen as particularly older women become widowed or divorced. So the title, Struggling Well, Thanks for Asking, is anybody's struggle.
Nana, thank you so much for hanging out and meeting everybody. Really appreciate you.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Hollis. You're a rock star. And none of this would have happened if you and Susan didn't put your little brains together and push us in the right direction. And I think all of us, after everything, are so happy and so proud. And it's brought us together in a way that we never imagined.
Exactly. It's next level understanding of each other, because it might not be shared. So anybody who doesn't know who Susan is, who's Nana has referenced a few times, Susan Gross is my mom, and she is the leader of this group where they initially met. And it's widows who, it's not a group where it's like, oh, woe's me, let's sit here and talk about all of this sadness all the time, and this is how he died, and da 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 da. But it's really a space where it provides that space. But from an outsider, I see that they lift each other up, and they're there for each other and there to empower each other. So that is kind of a little background on who Susan is and the group. And There we go. So before we say goodbye, Nana, is there any other wisdom that you feel like you want to share?
I'm a real storyteller, and you've actually inspired me to continue to write. Maybe it's going to just be for myself, but who knows? So, who knows what we'll do next? I know Susan has a few ideas up her sleeve, and we all like to help people. That's that's our thing. So let's
Love
see
that.
what else we can do.
There we go. And you never, if you enjoy doing something, it can be just for you. And who knows, it could lead into these other areas, but don't shut yourself down and say, well, I'm not good at that. And that's not something that I do, because you never know. You never know. You could be writing in papers. You could write a book. Who knows? You just don't know. You don't have to always know the how. You just do that thing that feels good. So
Just if you don't know, get in touch with Hollis. She'll help you.
I'll help you.
It's like hints from Eloise, hints from Hollis.
Oh my gosh. So Nana, again, thank you for hanging out and telling
Thank
us
you.
part of your story. And thank you, everybody who's here with us live, catching the replay. Struggling Well, thanks for asking, is coming out again this Friday, April 29th at 9 a.m. We appreciate your support in the Kindle. And yeah, so all the links will be shared soon. And wherever you are listening, we wish you, there we go, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we will talk to you soon. So we have one more interview tomorrow where you get to meet Jane Kramer, and looking
Ooh,
forward to it.
it's going to be a goodie.
So, okay, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.